Hi, it's Sonia and welcome back to my art YouTube channel. This week is going to be an artist vlog in terms of, I thought I'd make it easy for myself because I knew this week wasn't going to be the best for necessarily, well, there's other stuff to do, so it was going to be fitting in art here and there. And I also just wanted to do, so this would just be a shot of my desk and I've got a pile of work to go through and hopefully talk about and give some ideas. And it's a bit of a eclectic mix as always, abstracts, landscapes, some figurative work. But this way it's just easier for me to make these sort of videos because it's one take and I don't really have to, I'm not even going to edit it. So this, I can't remember what days I did what, but this is my, so let's start. This is my growing, I call it sort of like my loose sketchbook. It's a mixed media sketchbook. It's an Artesia one. And I felt like doing, this one sort of grew, I used some Caran d'Ache gouache from a palette. And then I think I added on some this is a metallic tempera. And at first it was like a made up landscape, but then I went to a photo on my phone, an old one, of a reservoir that someone's go running along. And I sort of just added elements of that. And I'm quite happy with this effect. So this was just a way of fitting in a bit of landscape work. This is one I did yesterday, and I'm actually, I'm quite happy with this one because I don't know why, there's just something about, so I won't have to actually zoom in later as well. I don't even have to, I'm not going to do any editing. I'm sorry. It's just, so that's, so you can see closer, like what I like about it is the, adding the pencil, I think just added a little, it's from my pot plant, which is actually on my desk. And yeah, I quite liked, and I think also I used some masking tape, which actually I got a tip. I get some tips off YouTube, which are actually really useful, because I was like, oh, why is this stuff like always stick down? But actually you should always let it dry before removing it, obviously. So it seemed to be okay on this paper, so I'm pleased with that. Oh, another tip just to quickly share before I forget is I read, and I haven't responded to this comment, but thank you for someone pointed out that you can sharpen the Neocolor 2s and then keep the shavings and turn into watercolor. I had seen that somewhere else, but what I hadn't realized was I could just use, I was like, oh, do I have to get a special pencil sharpener for this thing? But I have found my this little double-sided one, and so the bigger end works well, and I just sharpened it onto, this is a plate of just gouache, and then and it's really nice thick paint. It turns into it's great. And then you also then have a sharper point for like if you want to draw with them, as opposed to, which does mean for me slightly tighter drawing, but I quite like that, so that was good. So I'm going to put this sketchbook away. As I say, this is just going to be a very, what's the word, on the cuff video, so I haven't put this in any order. This is my altered abstract sketchbook that I don't know if I've really shown this. There is no order to this book. This book I'm just going to as I feel like it and I add to it. So I can't really remember what I've shown and haven't. I do know, I think these are some pages that I did this week, and this has been really good for a week like this when I haven't really been in here that much. But I can just come in, and also the other thing that I wanted to, and I'll have some examples of that later in my work on paper pile, is pre-preparing paper ahead of time, just with, if you've got any cheap poster paint or any paint that you don't actually like anymore, but you need to use up, or you're going to end up like, or if you're not going to, I suppose you could donate it, but I guess I just want to use it up actually because it's fine for this sort of work. So this is like it's not on my desk, but it's like and I got these matte apple barrel paints, craft paints, and I don't love them. I wouldn't use them in work on canvas necessarily, but they're great for sort of preparing paper. No, I have used it on canvas, that's an absolute lie. Some canvases, like rustic canvases, but not for necessarily finished, like, your sort of precious ones. But this has been, so this has come out well. So yeah, sometimes I was struggling to cover up the font with necessarily, even gouache in some respects, like gouache. But this Neocolor 2 it comes out quite thick. So I was really impressed with that. But yeah, this is just an acrylic. And then I've just been doing a bit of mark making, and I can come back to these pages and do more to them, or I can just leave them. This, for example, is a very busy page, but yeah, no, I'm really enjoying. This has been a really nice, I think I talked about it on Patreon, like it's an abstract sketchbook, but it's one where I'm even freer than in this abstract sketchbook, because there's just something about, you've got to cover up something that's already there. It's not a blank page as such. Whereas even though this was quite a cheap sketchbook, I'm going through it really quickly, but there's something when it's blank, I still feel, I don't know, hesitant, I guess, at times. Not every day. Hold on, let me just go to, so again, I can't remember. I've done a lot. I feel like I did a lot this week of coming in and finding odd snippets of time to do sort of marker, using up, I've got a box of the kids' markers that they don't love anymore, and I just, you know, don't want them to be wasted or just dry up over time, so use them. I'm using them up in this sketchbook, and just letting your mind go on a wander. This sort of art for me is probably the most, I would say, therapeutic in some sense. I think also observational can be good in terms of, I think it's meant to be good for us in terms of memory and things, isn't it? And but in terms of just relaxing and letting my mind wander, or that meditative sort of, I feel like in a state sometimes of it's just really nice to do this sort of work. And also it's the sort of work you can listen to something else, like I might have a video on in the background and I'm listening. I don't feel as such like frustrated if suddenly I get called in, or I've only got I have to do something else. To walk away from it is fine, because though I don't want to, but I mean, it's easy to come back to. It's not like sometimes when you're in a tricky stage, you've got all your paints out of a landscape and you're like, I really want to get this done. And to the point that you're nearly late to do something you're meant to do. Okay, now have I showed, I don't know if this is the problem, I don't know if I showed this last week or not. Maybe I did, but the other thing that was good about doing this video is it's actually made me a bit of a tidy up, and I did go through some piles of stuff. But this is also the sort of thing that works for me on weeks when I am just wanting to, yeah, you can do a little bit, come back to it, do a little bit, come back to it, and I don't know where it's going, but I kind of like, I think it is influenced by my abstract work as well. So yeah, this is just sort of made up landscape, all from memory. Did I show this one? I don't know, I just found this in the pile. It's it's interesting because I think I will come back to it, but oh my gosh, it's all falling down. This one here again is on I'm quite pleased with these. I made my own watercolour blocks. So this is a Canson watercolour pad. They seem to be quite, if you get them on offer, not, you know, quite reasonably priced for watercolour paper. And then yeah, you can stick it, there's loads of tutorials on this on YouTube, but I followed some of them, and so I've got a corner, then I just tear it off, and it does keep it, I feel, a bit flatter. The other thing I do now is I flatten them under heavy books and things. Just chucking stuff on the floor, so I've probably actually made more mess for myself later, but never mind. This is my Anything Goes studio journal that I keep here. Did I show this? This is from the 5th. I'm not sure. But yeah, the paper isn't, I'm finding the paper is pretty terrible in that stuff goes through it. But in some sense, that's almost good, in that when I want to just do a quick observational sketch where I'm not going to be, like, these are from I saw some vases online that just interested me, using one pen. And yeah, I quite like that effect. And that was, then I just had a go at filling up. I've got these watercolour, I mean, I assume it might clog it up, but we'll see. But I just filled it with some ink. So that I can use it to, you know, as a brush pen, but with coloured ink. I just wanted to test it out. So that's my Anything Goes journal. I love these. These are just something to do, something where you actually get to use a sketchbook in a totally unprecious, for notes, for anything, just a space to do a bit of work. Sorry, I'm gonna have to clear my throat. Okay, this is a quick. I will now, hopefully next week, I do need to start to focus on figurative portraiture again, and I'm trying to go back to, I did some portraits of the kids years ago in this style where I do pencil drawing, and then I, you know, in different grades of pencil, start off light, then add sort of darker ones. And then I did also have a very heavy, I need to get the graphite, you know, you get those graphite pencils, really just graphite sticks. But then I like to get a brush pen and highlight certain areas, and then I'd add a gouache background. And I think I'm going to do like for a drawing group, a workshop using that process. So I just want to practice again. So that was in my figurative art book, and I think I shared, that was from when I did the YouTube video on Monday. Okay. What have I put? Oh, this one I wanted to show. This one I haven't, okay. This is from, I did a process a while ago. I think it was, and I was trying to use those Caran d'Ache hard pastels that I just don't. I'm just not a hard pastel person, really. I'm using them up and trying to, sometimes if I want a challenge, but it's a good thing to use. I'm finding different ways of using them. But I didn't really like that sketch. So then I went back over. So what I did then was, I went over it again with on top with, again, hard pastel and oil pastel. Now I've also coated it with some gesso, so I can even go on top again, and I've added a bit of collage. So this is just an idea for pages in your sketchbook that when you go through your sketchbook, you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that page. You can keep altering the page. So yeah, this is my old, in a way this is turning into a bit of but my own altered sketchbook. This is my own sketchbook, but I am altering it. So then I've been enjoying also doing like this acrylic blotting over, so that you still have little bits of the faces coming through, and then I can come back. Sometimes I kind of like that, but I could come back over and then draw, you know, like, where is it? Faces on top. Okay, and then onto some. Now I've got some. This is the quite fun bit. Some, for me, sometimes, works on paper, like, and they're not at all completed. These are just, so what I've been doing is, and for a week when you just don't have, I don't know, you've got other things that you do need to focus on, and I really did try and crack on with some really just life stuff, you know, arranging doctor's appointments, like just, and other admin things and things in the home, you know, our responsibilities. Then this has been great to just come and get some of my creative energy out, if that makes sense. So I can come in and I just splash around, because this is just a bulk, you know, like you buy a ream of drawing paper and just cover it. But then, I don't know, these are like abstracts at the moment, but they don't have to be abstracts, because I can come on top with drawings of flowers or drawings of people, or they can just grow and grow or I can cut bits out. I just really, I think for me, also it's been a good week keeping off, as it were. Like I haven't really been, obviously I didn't film as I went along. And the other thing that I started to become conscious of, actually, or a bit self-conscious, was I started to notice, like I do share I'm more sharing real-time process videos on Patreon, but I noticed that even there I was feeling a bit worried, because I was like, oh, I don't know if these processes are the ones, when I'm filming them, they don't seem to work out as well sometimes as when I'm off camera doing my own stuff by myself, like completely in my own head. Sometimes they do, actually. I did share this week on Patreon, it's only on Patreon, I have shared an abstract process video, and I talk about, also I've put my recommendations for YouTube channels there, because I just went through some YouTube channels. So I am trying to make my Patreon, you know, a bit different, and also share other stuff other than just processes as well. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes it's nice just to get on with work and not film, and it's weird where I go when I'm just by myself playing around in odd minutes after dinner, before bed, early in the morning before everyone's up, just snippets. here and there. So yeah, I've got some weird little bits and bobs but I kind of like this is just me. I thought I've got these Pentel, they're cheap oil pastels, but you can like blend. I mean, my aim is, I actually really think now that in the future, I'm not going to go back. I can't see myself suddenly getting into hard pastels. I think what I will do is probably invest in the future when I feel like I've been using the supplies I've got, is maybe some better quality oil pastels or just softer oil pastels. I do actually have these ones are really good. And I probably want these are the Mungo Gallery ones, and they're fluorescent, and I do like these, so maybe I'll get more of those in the future. So yeah, I've just got bits of paper, and then also when I have sometimes if I have leftover gouache, this is, where is it? No, I haven't got it handy, but I've got an old sketchbook of the kids that they don't care for, like it was just when we were away and they just doodle in it. And then I've just been covering up pages just to, because I can use the paper again and I can use up paint. So this sort of stuff, like, yeah, I just found this obviously needs something, but it's just quite, if you've only got 5 minutes, you've got something that's already there. I can just go to this pile and pick up a bit of paper that I feel like playing around with. So I know it sounds really strange, and probably maybe no one else feels this, but for me, this pile of paper is really exciting, and it's so different to, when I was younger, I would be like, what is this? Or I feel in my head, I'd have other people's judgments as to what on earth, like, as I say, I feel like I'm more going towards loose art and abstract art as I get older. So but at the same time, it sometimes is a bit of a battle for me to let myself completely go, which sounds a bit sad, but it's true. So this is all a way of getting there, and it's exciting because, yeah, as I say, so these are just bits. I get I've cut up some card. Let me just open my desk and show you. Oh. Yeah, so what I've done is made my own little spreaders. The kids, I'm using up there because they don't want these anymore now, because they don't. But so I've cut up this old paper aeroplane book, and these can be used. So what I do is then I can use them as the spread on paint, which actually sometimes it's such a better way of doing it than with brushes, because then you don't need to worry about, if you've only got a few minutes, worrying about washing out brushes after a session. You can just go in, leave these. Now it's sunnier weather, I can just leave these out to dry. I prefer doing outside actually, because some of these paints are a little bit, these craft acrylics are a little bit smelly personally. This is my final bit I just wanted to share. I don't know if I've shown this before. I may have, because this is a very old piece that I just keep adding and adding to. And yeah, there's collage under here, and now it's like smeared on this black, and then I've got some tempera sticks, there's tissue paper. Like, personally, if I had a nice frame, I think this sort of thing would look really fun on a wall. Like, it's got so we'll see. Let's see where that goes. I feel like I'm a hoarder of paper at the moment. Okay, and my final thing to share with you today is, I don't know if I've shared this one yet. I think I probably have actually. But this is another, I managed to get this one for like $1, and so therefore it's like, it's just, I'm treating this, at first it was like, will this be another abstract another altered abstract sketchbook? And I was going to do that, but then I thought, oh yeah, I did share this, then I did, but now it's becoming a super loose, it's just going to be for like exploration of anything I want. And yeah, like, but we'll see where it goes. I don't know why it's turning, so I'm still doing this process of when I get a spare moment, don't forget to cover up some pages ready for another time. Like this here is like continuous line drawing from I probably should write it down, but it was copied from an old master sketch, I don't know who by, but in some ways it's mine now, because I mean, probably maybe someone could recognise where I got that from, but at the same time, because it's so different, it's my own sketch, I feel. And then yeah, here I think I was just experimenting with oil pastel, and yeah, I should write notes. I'm terrible about not writing notes. It doesn't look at all of me, but sometimes it's, at least I know it's my own reference. No one can. The irony is that could be anybody, but I'm trying to use my own. Sometimes I will, especially if I want to share some process videos, I'm going to have to find some, like, what's the word, universal free stock images, so that I could try and, for people in the future to do drawing workshops with. But at the moment, obviously, it's just, and I just feel more connection using photos that I've taken myself, if that makes sense. This is an interesting page because I actually really like it. When at first you're like, oh no, pages are stuck together, but then it's like, no, this is now, I like that weathered. I really like the layers and layers, that whole posters and posters in the old days when there was all these posters up that'd be on top of each other. And I did see, I think, where was it we went? I took the boys, we went to an art gallery. Was it Washington? And there was, is it Mark Bradford? Oh man, I can't remember exactly. But I feel like he had this whole room, vista, like with, and he'd got layers and like he built up like a dense text, sort of collagey, big scale artwork. But all I know is I do love artworks where you've got texture and layers and maybe like deliberate ripping. Yeah, and then this is working quite well. I think this is that's just Prismacolor pencil, I think. So this is, I think that's it. But I just, hold on, did I share? Oh yeah, this is a recent one. So that sketch that you saw in my figurative art book, I just did it again. Sometimes you can do the same sketch again and again and again, but the subsequent times you do the sketch, I feel like I got quicker because I'd sketched it before, I was a bit bored, but I really like the sort of immediacy of that one. And then again, that's on black acrylic ink. So yeah, before I leave here, I'm trying really hard to remember just to lay down, I've got paints lying around, splish on a bit of paint, get my card, wipe it down, leave it to dry, and I've got a colour, something ready for next time. Okay, that is my kind of artist. Is it really an art? I guess it's a review of some work I've made this week. And this has been a week where, I don't know, it's been a bit all over the place. So just to share my tips for fitting in arts and having, so I've still, had a lot of fun and also cracked on with some other things that I did have to get on with. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope you having, it may not be the weekend where you're at. I hope, anyway, thank you as always for watching my video. And yeah, I will hopefully be back in another one. Bye.